say, deal X amount of damage to your opponent, it makes things a little more difficult. So here is a Glistener Elf on turn 1 off of a forest, and we're going to go back to Nicola. So far, I can see there is a Growth in his hand as well as a Vines of Vastwood. Here's a Rift Bolt suspended on turn 1. Matthew going to untap, plays a second forest. Also has Become Immense in his hand. Yeah, we got some cards. Apostle's Blessing to protect from red, so that's really strong. Yeah, and we come for 1 infect. Nicola says, I have no responses. Matthew says, sure, you can take your 1 poison, sir. So Nicola up to 1 infect here. I don't think Matt has any reason to do anything just yet. You're going to see Nicola, yeah, he's going to point the Rift Bolts at the Glistener Elf, of course, and Matt is going to go ahead, pay a couple of life, and give his Glistener Elf pro red for the turn. So Nicola doesn't have any sort of response to that either. His hand is all sorcery speed. But here he's going to have a couple of creatures come in instead. So we have a trigger on Goblin Guide first. It's going to reveal a second Mucciante Growth. Nicola not aware that's a second one yet, but this is an attack for 3. So Matt's going to fall to 15. And then he will begin his second turn here. So he's going to draw that second Growth. Does he just win? 2, 4... Yeah, it's over. That's the game. Yeah, this works too. So Vines of Vastwood, double Growth. We're going to have a game 1 handshake. All right, Nicola. So we're going to head to game 2. So that was an attack there for exactly 10 infect. I don't know if I would have showed Nicola that I have Become Immense. That's not something... Oh, I guess... I don't know. Does it still play Become Immense normally? Probably. It's like a 1 of. I mean, Nicola was dead there in so many ways, so... so we're going to head to sideboard. I don't know if Matt has a sideboard. He's just shuffling up. He's good to go. He doesn't... If he does have one, he doesn't even want it. He's like, no. I don't need that stuff. Get it out of here. Sideboards. Psh. Please. Nicola, I imagine, is going to need a sideboard. So, in fact, I can even find out what's in his sideboard for us. Let's have a look here. I helped him build it last night, but I don't remember what it was. All right, let's see. So, Nicola's sideboard contains... Oh, that's not it either. Where is it? Here we go. 3 Smash to Smithereens, 1 Painful Truth, 3 Path to Exile, 4 Searing Blood, and 4 Eidolon of the Great Revel. Searing Blood is very good here. Path to Exile is good here. I want to say Eidolon's good as well. Does he have room for all of this? Cards that Nick can take out here. I don't like Bump in the Night. I don't like Skullcrack. And I don't think you really even need the Lava Spikes. In all honesty, you can probably cut 10 cards here very easily. I think he can bring in like 11 for this matchup, in all honesty. I think if he just takes out all the things that say target opponent instead of target player or creature, he can probably have a pretty solid deck for this matchup. Yeah, and you see he's got a lot in his hand that he's bringing in sideboard wise, so, which again I think I definitely agree with. So see how this one goes. He's going to hopefully have a few more spells that he can interact with his opponent's creatures with, because Infect does still have potential to go off like that on turn 2, as you saw there. Mucciante Growth is definitely a card. You get to combine it with other pump spells. Yeah, Matt, I mean, also just had a great hand there for facing off against Burn. Having the Apostle's Blessing was huge. And having... that was turn 3, wasn't it? That was turn 3 lethal. Having Apostle's Blessing is huge. And having the Vines of Vastwood to protect it in case the Apostle for some reason couldn't work. he was in a great spot. So Nicola here going to look at his hand. I saw a Grim Lavamancer, which is great. So Lava Spikes are still in, because there's one in his hand. Matt, however, is going to be taking a mulligan here, so... Oh, yeah, he's playing exactly the list. Yeah, I could have just said that, couldn't I? Yeah. Yeah, no, he's playing the exact list from GP Vegas. He's been wanting to play Burn, he said, for a little while now. His exact words, however, he said he wanted to be casting Goblin Guide and Lightning Bolt. So he saw the Mardu list from the Vegas weekend and decided to put that together. So, yeah, good catch there, Art Douglas. That's, again, exactly what he's playing. So, I know that I've seen this Mardu, or not this Mardu list, but I've seen Mardu Burn before. People have tried it again because you get access to that bump in the night, which is just 3 more damage that can't be absorbed by a spell scout, which is huge. But I don't know how much I really like it. So Matt has kept here, but if I'm not mistaken, he's kept no creatures. I don't know if that's correct or not, but he scryed a land to the top of his deck, so maybe he was just mana light. I don't know. We'll find out. Nicola will start off by fetching out a Sacred Foundry into play on tap, so down to 17. His life total is not a concern. He doesn't have to worry about, that at all. And yeah, there's probably the best start, the Grim Lavamancer. That's able to definitely keep in check small infect creatures fairly well. Now he does have to constantly stock his graveyard to do that, but Burn's pretty good at doing that. So, all right, Matthew will start on a forest. So he does have a creature, but it's a Necropede. Draws a Lightning Helix. Nicola's hand looks much, much better this game. He also has a Searing Blaze I can see there, so... Okay, he's going to go ahead and fetch away another fetch land here. Likely going to grab another shock land, because again, his life total is really not that important here. I believe Matthew's playing a more budget-friendly deck. I don't believe he has things like Noble Hierarchs. So sometimes we'll see Infect take that approach where they kind of shift gears and start to attack you with Noble Hierarchs and start pumping those up to win for the game. Matthew doesn't have that option here, so... Nicola has a turn 2 Eidolon, so going to be a bit of damage coming in to Matthew here. There is Necropede, so Necropede, again, it's not one you normally see. I think there at one point he was playing some in the sideboard, so the Infect decks were. When it dies, he gets to place a -1/-1 counter on another creature. So Nicola's going to read that. Normally the creatures you see, I believe also Matthew's only mono green, I should say. So he also doesn't have Bladed Agent, which is really, really... Yeah, he's definitely all in on Glistener Elves, basically. He has Glistener Elf, Necropede. There may be some other Infect ones he could play. Green, obviously, and Mirrodin Besieged and Scars of Mirrodin Block were... Green was definitely the primary Infect color, so... Nicola will go ahead and just Grim Lavamancer down Necropede now, and then Matthew will fire back by killing off the Grim Lavamancer with the Necropede trigger. Matthew will then take 4, falling to 13. Goblin Guide revealed. I didn't actually get a look at it. There's a Blight Mamba. All right. Does that one... Doesn't it have... Okay, yeah, that one can regenerate itself for 1 and a green. So, unfortunately for Matthew, he's currently short of mana to be able to save this snake. Now, he does, of course, have mana, and he does have 1 mana, and there is in hand, I saw there, a copy of Apostle's Blessing again, so... But he does need to be careful, because, again, he is at 13, and there is an Eidolon of the Great Revel in play, which is a fantastic tool against Infect. When they go for that flurry of pump spells, if their life isn't high enough, they can just die to the Eidolon, so... Nicola doing some math here. So he has a Searing Blaze I think he might try and shoot off here. He's going to go ahead and play his Swift Spear first to get a little more bonus out of it, which does make sense. He takes 2 from his own Eidolon, of course. Here's the attack for 4. Matt gets a Forest put into his hand thanks to Goblin Guide. This is an attack I really don't like. He's thinking about blocking here and using a pump spell. I really don't like that decision. Yeah, he's gonna get punished here for it. Yeah, this is gonna go bad. Well, I mean, the blessing's not even gonna matter. The real issue here is Matthew's gonna get blown out by a Searing Blaze. Yeah. So Nicola will take 2 damage, fall to 12. He'll deal 3 to Matthew. And I believe this is all going to happen before blocks, is my guess. That's just what would make sense. So I think Matthew's at 4. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the game right there. Even if he had another creature, I just don't think it would matter. Yep, so we'll head to a game 2 here. So no infect damage out that game. Nicola was much more successful at controlling the creatures this game than he was the first game. Now, the very important fact here is, though, Nicola has to be on the draw for game 3, which means that his infect opponent's on the play. And that's where infect, again, has a real big boost in its strength because it gets to lead off on... Hopefully it gets to lead off on a Glistener Elf is the idea. So we'll have to see what happens. All right, so here we go into game 3. Do we have a Glistener Elf? It's a pretty important one to have. I think we have, I think there was either no lands or very, very few lands there in the opening hand for Matthew. I saw, if I'm not mistaken, 3 copies of Necropede, which one way you can beat Infect... at least, I mean, I'm not too sure about his list, obviously, but I know when Blue-Green was really popular, before Gitaxian Pro got banned, stuff like that, one of the ways to just beat Infect was they never have a creature. They only played like 8 creatures plus Ink Moths, so 12 total, which is another big one that Matthew's missing here. I don't imagine he has Ink Moths in the deck. If you can just keep them off creatures forever, they just can't do anything. The deck is real bad at being... Just real bad at being anything other than an aggressive... Like, I want to kill you in 1 turn deck, so... So Matthew has kept his 6 again this game. We'll start things off here. Oh, we do have a turn 1. We do have a Glistener Elf, so... It's on Nicola to try and find an answer to this Glycerin Elf if he wants to potentially avoid dying very quickly. Okay, he'll start with the Bloodstained Mire. He's going to go ahead and fetch it away immediately, so we'll see if he has a burn spell to get rid of this guy or just one of his creatures. I mean, the deck plays, what, 4, 8, 9, like over 20 1-drops. Yeah. Okay, so he has Path to Exile here. Oh yeah, I mean, Burn. I think Burn is 100% favored here in the post board matches. I mean, I think it's already favored. I think in this matchup. Again, just being able to interact with all of his small creatures, just had to be able to pick them off one at a time. I think Burn's already very far ahead. But yeah, you're right, our Douglas there. When he gets to add in Path to Exiles and take out his uninteractive spells, like you were saying, it just puts him way ahead. So there's an Ichor Claw Mirror coming down, I think. Yep. This is the one that if it gets blocked, it gets bigger. Just a 1/1 on its own, though. And you see there, Nicola had to go for the path on his own turn. He can't let Matthew have a shot to Apostle's Blessing it. It's just going to be, all right, I can get rid of it. Let's get rid of it now. Okay, and here is another Path to Exile, in fact. So we're going to make sure we get rid of every one of these threats. So another land coming out of the deck here for the Infect player. The Forest, here is a Suspended Riftbolt and a Pass of the Turn. So again, Nicola doing a much better job this game controlling all of the creatures and making it so that Matthew really just can't put up any sort of offensive front. He's got 4 mana now, so I mean he's getting to the point where he can play a threat and also protect it with multiple spells, assuming he has those, but he needs to keep putting out threats if that's the case, and I don't believe he has one. Nope. There is the pass. Nicola is going to Riftbolt Matthew directly, so down to 17 he goes. It's going to be a Bloodstained Mire. And there is, again, Eidolon of the Great Revel. So, again, that fantastic card against Infect, just because they have a heck of a time playing through it. I'll land off the top of the deck for Matt, and we'll go back to Nicola again. Here comes the attack for 2. No fear there, so down to 15. Yeah, I think Nicola has a Lightning Bolt. Actually, no, that was probably... There is a bolt in his hand. I can see that there. I don't know if he's had that the whole time or not, but there is a bolt in his hand right now that I can see. But you are correct. If he didn't have the a follow-up response, that could have been a real bad spot to be in there. A really, really bad spot. So Nicola overall here will gain 1 on the end step with Lightning Helix going to Matthew's Dome. He's just going for lethal here. Monastery Swift Spear. It won't be lethal this turn, but Nicola takes 2, falls to 16. Matthew will take 3 and fall to 9. And again, I imagine at this, it's game over. Nicola's going to have, I imagine, more than enough spells to finish the game this turn. He has at least 7 with Lightning Bolt. Yeah, that's 12 damage. Or 11 damage with the Lightning Helix, so... I think, yeah, Matthew's going to go ahead and help his opponent out. So he'll take 2. Then he'll take 2 more. And then he'll take 2 more. And then he'll growth. And he'll die. So, all right. So...